So there's still a lot of weakness in the markets, right? Dow, Nasdaq, S&P 500, and even the Russell are continue to sell off and have some strong movement on the downside. Now, when everyone's fearful, guess what? It's time to be greedy, right? We all know that analogy. Now, it's hard in the moment, and there's starting to be a little bit more fear around these marketplace. But if you've been watching my videos for the last sort of week or so, you would know that I was expecting a bit more of a pullback, and we're getting that. But we're getting very, 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 very close to what I call a slingshot pattern in the markets, because there is fear teetering on extreme fear in the marketplace right now. And whenever we start to get to the extreme fear in the marketplace, logic would say, oh, the market's probably going to crash. And that's when we get the reversal points, right? So I want to talk to you a lot about that today and what's going on with the stock market and why I believe there's going to be such an amazing opportunity for you guys to do really well coming off the back of this first week of January. And I believe the second, third, fourth week of January is probably going to be pretty good. So let's actually talk about this here. So we're seeing the Dow Jones right now. And if we look at this, if I just let me blow this, there you go. Let me blow this chart up here, right? So this is the very short term. This is over the last 3 months of the Dow Jones. And look what the Dow Jones has been doing, right? Came down, and then we had this very strong selling on the downside. We popped back up, and then we had another selling to the downside, right? And again, you may remember this. I actually said that I'm expecting a little bit more downside to come, but not too much, right? And you see this little blue line through here? I'm going to get to you in just a minute, right? But on the Dow Jones, we could see we came down, came up, and then I'm seeing now that we're probably likely to see a lot more downside to come, right? Or should I say a little bit more downside to come? But the big thing I'm watching for, so I'm seeing the patterns and I go, okay, if what I'm seeing in my mind is likely to come, what would that look like on the charts? The first thing we get is what? We'd get all the way down to there, right? And we get a breaking of the low. Oh, now, people that are short-term traders, real short-term traders, right? Meaning they're looking at the short-term chart, they'll be looking at something like this. Once that happens, or if that happens, then I'm looking for step number 2 in the reversal for the slingshot pattern to start. And what is that? That is now that we know that support level. We're now looking for something like this to happen and something now to get back above this level here. If we can get scenario 1 and 2 here over the next couple of days. Now this is not like tomorrow and the next day, right? Like it may take a couple more days but you get the general theme, right? I'm looking for the slingshot pattern to start form. And when it comes down to the slingshot pattern, I'm looking for a short-term reversal first and then to see this thing kick up. So if we start to get something like this coming, then what's probably likely to happen is we're probably likely to see this thing start to make a big move to the upside. Now, if I bring this chart up from here to here, this is looking at the last couple of years worth of the same market, Dow Jones. And as we can see, we have support level through here, support level through here, and we're almost getting to what? Almost getting to that level of support level from there, right? So we can see that this is what's going on. And if we have a look at this here, and this is where it gets, I really like this here. Like look, this is the fear and greed index here. And so by looking at the fear and greed index, what do we have here, right? We're on fear, right? The market's still open right now. But we have fear and we're teetering on extreme fear. And if we now this is the overview, right? And if we go to the timeline, look at this here. Now, once again, this is where psychology of the markets and this takes a bit of time, right? This takes a bit of time when it comes to your trading and so on and so forth. And that's obviously the reason why guys like trading these markets, there's 3 different main areas you need to be focusing on, right? Trading systems, exits, and entries and exits. The emotional management as well too. Also having some sort of coach there as well to help you every single week that does it and also being part of a peer group, so a community, so you can actually start to really, really kick ass and take names. If you'd like to join my inner circle, that's exactly what I provide you for a whole 12 months. Every single week, I'm helping you, coaching you, and guiding you. If you'd like to apply for that, then go to getjohnshelp.com. Go do that right now. I'm about to close that down now for 2025, but if you want to get in, go fill out the application form, guys. There should be a link in the description, and I'll call you to help you out. But look at this fear and greed index here. Look at this here. What do we have here, right? Down the bottom here, down below 25 is what? Now we're talking about the extreme fear, right? Now we don't know where the exact bottom is going to be in the market, but what happened here, right? This here is when the stock market, S&P 500 especially, had that big 10% drop. Lots and lots of fear. Now look what's happening here. We got to the extreme fear, we pop back up, and never come back down. I'm actually expecting this thing to start to come back down to here again, like it was down to here, right? Now, by the way, guys, if this fear and greed index gets all the way down to 0, like where you've got your maximum fear, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you're looking for something that just like, bye. Anyway, so we see that through there, right? And so that's what I'm seeing. We're getting through there, and as you can see, look at this here, and this fear and greed index has a collection of things that make the fear and greed index, right? The first one is the momentum, extreme fear, stock market price. Look at this here. Oh, the new net new 52-week high, low. Look at this here. It's the worst it's been since when? This is the worst it's been in the last 12 months. But that's good news, right? Remember, and this is where if you're brand new to the markets, maybe for a couple of years, you think, oh my goodness, so much fear, right? And then suddenly the market reverses, like, oh my goodness, right? That's where traders, like, you got to be really, really, really careful of who you hang around with, because if you're following the herd mentality or the extreme fear means market drop and so on and so forth, you got to be careful who you hang around with and who you listen to, because they can give you the wrong advice, right? Most people lose money in the market. So if most people are fearful, what should you do? The exact opposite, right? If most people are greedy, if there's a lot of greed in the marketplace, what should you start to be doing? Start to be fearful, right? And so, as you can see, this is the worst it's been in the last 12 months. But that's good news, right? Look at this here. Stock price breadth down here, worst it's been in the last 12 months. Now this one here, this is the put and call. Simply put this, when the market gets up to here, this is when people are buying a lot of put options. There's a lot of there's a lot of like a lot of fear in the marketplace, right? A lot of fear in the marketplace. And then when we're down the bottom here, which is like right down here, then that there is a result of where people are buying a lot of call options, right? Now look what's happening here. We actually held here for a bit, right? We held here for a bit, means that people are still holding on to their call options. Now it's starting to shift up a little bit, right? We're starting to get this shifting point. We're not up here yet, which up here and up here as well too. So we're not there yet. We have market volatility and we have a few other things as well too, right? So out of all of this, we're starting to get into the fear and maybe one or two more down days, and we're going to really start to ping into the extreme fear. Now remember, when there was so much fear, last time when there was so much fear, what happened to the markets? Now again, below 25 is extreme fear, right? The market rallied. I wonder what's coming real soon. So not only am I seeing it from a trend analysis perspective, but now we're getting into the extreme fear, and the market's been selling off, especially on the Dow Jones, right? Especially by looking at this Dubalaki. Now we can go look at, say, things like the NASDAQ. This is the NASDAQ here. The NASDAQ's not quite yet near its sort of support levels through here, right? But we are getting a bit of a sell-off on the NASDAQ. This is the S&P 500. Again, probably a bit more downside to come out of the S&P 500, which is, again, this could morph into something more than just a short-term pullback. But for now, Short-term little drop. We're probably going to get a little bit more downside, a little bit more weakness out of the market. And then a slingshot is probably going to come from there. And the same for the Russell as well too. Russell's having that little bit of a pullback from here. So that's what I'm seeing from there, guys. And we can see that whenever we're starting to get this whole fear analysis in the markets right now, we tend to get these major reversal points. And that's what I don't believe we're there yet. I still believe we have a little bit more downside to come. But once we start to get into this level through here on the Dow Jones, and then once we start to get to this level here on the S&P 500, then I believe we're probably likely to see a reversal. And then we want to see what comes out of that, right? So if this is going to be some sort of major topping pattern in the Dow Jones, let's just say, John, but this is the top in the market. Okay. If it is going to be the top in the markets, what's likely to happen? Firstly, we're likely to get a rally, right? We're likely to get a rally. Secondly, on that rally, we're likely to start a new downward trend, right? Let me show you what I mean here. So let me just bring up a blank chart here. And let me go back to here, right? So, as you can see from here, look what happens, right? We go down and we pop back up to lower high, and we come back down and we pop back up to lower high, and we come down and we pop back up. We start to shift from these higher lows momentum, higher lows, to then we do what? We come down through here, we come down, right? We come down through here, and then we pop back up to create the lower high. Remember, how does the trend is your friend until the end, right? And lower highs are downward trends, yes. But the market needs to rally. As the market comes down, it needs to rally for a short period of time to create the lower high, then roll down. Why I'm saying that is that if this is going to morph into something more, right? If this is going to be the something more here, right? Then what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the market to firstly rally, then what comes after that, all right? Because if we go from the high down through to the low, and maybe even a bit lower as well too, where we've got this, you can see we have a ton of levels of support and resistance all through here, so we're probably going to come down to here. I want to see what actually happens, right? Because when we do start to rally, extreme fear rally, I'm calling slingshot move. But if it does do something more, meaning if we come down to here and then we rally and we come back up and we cannot break this whole 44,000 level and we start to do something like that, that's when the market is saying, hey, look at this. Bull market is OVER. So that's what I'm looking for. Remember, that's what the market will rally, as I talked to you about before. Look back here. Right? In a downward phase, or in a downward trend, in a downward trend, what does the market do? Right? Firstly we come down, but then we rally to make a lower high. We come down, we rally to make a lower high. So the market's not just going to fall off a cliff and go straight down. That's not going to happen, right? Now, individual stocks, especially if you're trading low liquid stocks and even penny stocks, you're probably going to get crushed. You are probably going to get crushed in the markets, right? And so therefore we rally to make a lower high, and we come back down, and then we rally. This is where understanding what is this? If we're going up here for a week or two, does that mean buyers in control? Now, buyers in control is what's the trend? Because if the trend was like that, then guess what? Now we have a down, up, lower, high, down. As this is rallying to the upside, this could just be what? Another lower high before we go down. The purpose of me saying that, as you can see, the market doesn't just fall off a cliff like that, right? We don't just do the whole do, and it just keeps going like that, right? Now that may and can happen, right? Once in 100 years, but don't bank on that, right? That's once in 100-year thing. A normal market movement, even on a downward phase, right, is what? Once again, and this is where you got to understand how these markets work on a psychology level. If this market's going to turn into something much more major, and this is going to be the top before we see the bear market for all of 2025. Oh my goodness, it's all over. What's going to happen? We're going to rally, and then we're going to drop, which we have, and we're probably going to get a little more downside. Then we're going to rally. But look what happened. Remember, at rally here, remember I said before, the key levels is what? The key level is from high to low, and I'm looking for that 50 to 60% level. Remember I said before, right? When we start to get the rally, what happens? Do we hold here? Because if we do hold here, we start the rally down. Now we know something's changed. Right? Now we know something changed. So once again, if we go back to here, now you can see how I'm putting it all together. If we do drop down through here, right, the first thing I'll be doing is, okay, what's going on here? I can see we actually have a bit of a short-term downward trend line coming down through here. So probably a bit more to the downside. Once we start to get back above this trend line through here, then we're probably going to start the rally. Once we do start the rally to the upside, this whole on a bear sort of maximum, because sometimes it can overextend. So you can see this resistance back here, that 44,500 level down to around about this around about the 44,000. Once we start to get a pop to the upside, and once again I'm looking for this. If we do that, we come back up here and we struggle through here, and then we start to do something like this, well then this is going to be a one big massive rounding top, and then the bear market will start, and then the bear market will come, and then we're probably going to go into a bit more of a severe of a downward trend, and that's when you can qualify and quantify the top end, and that's when you can start to be worried about a much more significant selling coming in the marketplace.